Hi students, it's Shayna, your teacher from EspressoEnglish.net. And this month I want to focus our lessons on phrases. Some kind of informal phrases that you might hear in everyday spoken English, and you might not be sure how to use them or what they mean. So today's lesson is going to focus on a few different phrases, all using the word kidding, like I'm just kidding, or no kidding, or are you kidding me? You're going to learn how to use each one of these in conversational English today. So kidding is another word for joking, and it usually means like kind of a small minor joke, not like when you tell a joke that has a whole story and a structure, more like when you say something that's not true just to surprise or shock someone, and then you can say, oh, I'm just kidding, to tell them that it was a joke and you weren't speaking seriously. So that's our first phrase, I'm just kidding. After you've made a joke or said something that's not true or that's a little bit exaggerated, and the other person maybe reacts to it, and then you can say, I'm just kidding, meaning I wasn't being serious, I was only joking. We also have the phrase no kidding, and that can actually be used in two different ways. No kidding, we use this in response oftentimes to say something like really, or I'm a little bit surprised. So if, let's say, someone tells you about how they went to another city and they happened to encounter their coworker there by chance, by coincidence, you could say, oh, no kidding, meaning it's a little bit of a surprise. It's really just something to kind of keep the conversation flowing. You could also say, really, in order to encourage them to keep talking and show them that you're engaged in the conversation. So that's one way to use the phrase no kidding, is as an expression of mild surprise, or another way to say really in reaction to something the other person said in conversation. The other way to use no kidding is sarcastically, to say that something is very obvious. So let's say my husband and I are stuck in traffic and we've been sitting in traffic for the past 3 hours, and I say, wow, this traffic is really bad. He could say, no kidding, meaning he's not surprised by it, he's using it sarcastically to say, yeah, that's really obvious, or that's definitely true. And the difference in how you use these is really in the tone of voice. So if someone tells you something that's a little bit surprising and you want to use no kidding to say really, you would say, oh, no kidding, or no kidding. And if you want to use it sarcastically, you use a little bit of a lower tone of voice. You would say, yeah, no kidding. It just makes it clearer that you're using it sarcastically instead of expressing mild surprise. The next expression is you're kidding, and this is also used for surprise. It's a little stronger than no kidding in that maybe you're a little bit more surprised. So let me think of a good example. If let's say you recommend to your friend that he or she sign up for an English course at the same school where you're studying, and your friend tries to sign up, but there are no more openings and he has to go on the wait list. You might say, you're kidding, because you're surprised. You thought there were open spaces in the English school, but it turns out you're surprised by the fact that there weren't any open spaces. So you're kidding is again a reaction to what someone else says in conversation, and you're indicating surprise, showing that something is hard for you to believe. You're surprised by it. And our final two phrases, are you kidding me? And you've got to be kidding. These express very strong surprise when the other person says something you find extremely hard to believe. Okay, so these are questions, and we tend to use a very surprised tone of voice when asking them. If the other person says something extremely surprising, like let's say you have a friend who's trying to get a job and you think she's a really great candidate for this job, and she goes on a few interviews, but then it turns out she doesn't get the job and they tell her it's because she's a woman. And you would say, "Are you kidding me? That's not a good reason not to give you a job. In fact, that's probably illegal to discriminate based on you being a woman." So again, it's in reaction to something that is extremely surprising, extremely hard to believe, and you're rather shocked by what the other person said. All right, so a few different phrases with kidding. "I'm just kidding," to show that you are only joking about what you just said a moment ago. "No kidding," which can be used to express mild surprise, just like the expression "really," or it can be used sarcastically to say "that's obvious" or "definitely true." "You're kidding," to express slightly stronger surprise, and "you've got to be kidding me," or "are you kidding me?" to express very strong surprise and shock. I hope you found this lesson useful. If you'd like to learn more conversational English, check out my Everyday English Speaking courses. If you're not living in an English-speaking country, it can be hard to learn these more conversational expressions, and my courses will help you with that. So you can click on the link in this video or in the description for more information.